Good morning, dear students. Myself Sachin S. Pawar, and I welcome you to my third video on Unit 8 Redox Reactions. In our last video, we have already finished finding out the oxidation number of elements in molecules and in ions. In my first part of this video, I will just recall some more examples on this calculation, and then we have to go for what is known as Stokes notation, writing the formula for, if you know the Stokes notation, then can you write the formula of the compound, then how to justify that a particular reaction is a redox reaction or not, and lastly we will see some types of redox reactions. So let's begin with the first part. Okay, calculation of oxidation number of molecules. Now here, as you already know, in my previous video I have already told that here you have to follow certain rules, and those rules need to be by hearted and need to be applied whenever you want to find out the oxidation number of elements in the compound. Just to give an example, here plenty of examples are there. I'll just just go with two examples. Let us go for this example. Now here NaH2PO4. Suppose phosphorus, oxidation number of phosphorus need to be determined. Now here you need to know that sodium, alkali metal, oxidation number is +1, hydrogen is +1, oxygen is -2, phosphorus is X, and this is a molecule, therefore sum of the oxidation number is 0, therefore it is 1 plus -1 into 2 is 2 plus X minus 2 into 4 is 8, that is equal to 0. So X will become equal to 8 minus 3, that is +5. So in this molecule, phosphorus is in +5 state. So like this we can find out the oxidation number in molecules. We have examples here, you can try out with these examples. In finding out the oxidation number in ions, the point to be noted is the sum of the oxidation number in ions is the charge of the ion. Just to give an example, let us take this example, H2O3 -2. So I want to find out the oxidation number of sulfur, so I will say it as X. Oxygen, I know it as -2, so it is X into 2, that is 2X, plus -2 into 3 is -6, that is equal to the charge on the ion, that is -2. So it is 2X is equal to -2 plus 6, that is 2X is equal to +4, and X is equal to 4 by 2, that is 2. So +2. Sulfur is in +2 state. Sulfur is in +2 state. Like this we can find out the oxidation number of all the underlined atoms in various molecules which are there on your screen. You can try it out. With this knowledge of finding out the oxidation number of the ion in the compound, atom in the ion or in the molecule, we will switch over to the next part of the topic. The next part of the topic is Stokes solutions, Stokes notations. Now when I say Stokes notations, they are simply the notations. They are simply notations. Notations means what? Notation means how that particular compound is, the formula, I can say simple formula. Now here this is proposed by a German chemist known as Alfred Stokes, and that's why it is called Stokes notation. It is a notation given to the metallic compounds. A notation given to metallic compounds. So we have metallic compounds. For metallic compounds we can give these notations. Here Alfred said one simple idea. He gave a simple idea, that is a modification. What he said is, you find out the oxidation number of the metal. Find out the oxidation number of the metal, and in the formula of that compound, you have to simply write that oxidation number in the Roman numbers, in the parenthesis bracket. Like for example, if it is 1, write Roman letter 1. If it is 2, write Roman letter 2. If it is 0, write 0. Like that. Okay, like that. Roman numbers are written just after the symbol of the metal. after the symbol of the metal, and that's it, is the writing of stock notation. Let us try out some examples here. Here the first example is there, and if you just see the example here, okay, the first example, if I just take a gold here, then you will see I want to first find out the oxidation number. So here chloride ion is -2, hydrogen is +1, so this is X. So if I say X, then it is a molecule, therefore 1 plus X minus 2 is equal to 0. So X is equal to +1. X is equal to +1 state. Okay, X is equal to +1. So if X is equal to +1, then I can write the stock notation for this. Very simple. So oxidation number is Roman letter 1. Okay, so I have tried the formula. First write H, then write gold Au, and in the bracket write 1, because Roman letter says oxidation number is 1, and then Cl4. This is the stock notation for the first compound. Stock notation for first compound. I want to find out the stock notation for second compound. Let us see. So this is, it is -2, this is X. So this is 2X minus 2 is equal to 0. So X is equal to 1. So I can easily write the formula. The formula would be TL twice. Here it is Roman letter 1 O. This is the stock notation for this compound. If I have to find out the oxidation, stock notation for this, for example, this is -2, so this is X. So X minus 2 is equal to 0. So X is equal to +2. So Fe is in +2 state. So stock notation, Roman letter 2 I have to use. So I have to write the stock notation. Then I can write the stock notation for this compound as Fe, Roman letter 2 O, as it is. It's as simple as that. If I have to go for one more example, let me go for the last example, and then the remaining ones you can try at home. Oxygen is -2, this is X. So this is 2X minus -2 into 3 is 6 is equal to 0. So it is X is equal to +3. Check out. So I can write the stock notation for this. Stock notation for this would be Fe2, Roman letter 3 O3. This is what is the stock notation. I hope this point is clear. This completes the stock notation. Suppose we have the formula, we have already the stock notation, can we write the formula of that compound? A reverse. Let's see that also. Here it is there in the government book, the question. Write the formula of the following stock notations. So here we have stock notation, mercury. So this is Hg2 chloride. Now you must know that here you must know that you must know all the ions. Like Cl minus is called chloride ion, bromide ion, iodide ion, then sulfate ion, then carbonate ion, then bromide ion, oxide ion, nitride ion, and so on. All these ions you have learnt in your lower classes, so you should know that. Now here chloride is Cl. So this is the formula of, this is the stock notation, Hg2Cl. But now Hg2Cl, therefore the formula if I have to write, then it is HgCl2. HgCl2 is the formula. Nickel is Ni2SO4. Ni2SO4, this is what is the stock notation. Now SO4 is SO4 minus 2. So SO4 minus 2. So I'll write SO4 minus 2 minus sum of the oxidation number is 0. Sum of the oxidation number should be 0. So here nickel is in this, so it is already -2. Sulfate is -2. -2 plus 2. -2 plus 2 is 0. So it is NiSO4. This is the formula. Okay, iron sulfate. If I want to write iron sulfate, it is FeSO4. So you know this is SO4. Iron sulfate, 3 sulfate. This is Fe3 sulfate. Okay, I want to write the formula of this. I want to write the formula for this. So you know already sulfate is SO4 minus 2, and now here Fe is in plus 3 state. So to write the formula of the compound, you have to just balance the charges. So the valency of the Fe plus 3, bring it to the bottom of sulfate. Valency of the sulfate, bring it to the bottom of Fe, and the formula becomes Fe2 SO4 thrice. This is the formula of the stock notation iron 3 sulfate. Chromium 3 oxide. Chromium 3 oxide, if I just say chromium 3 oxide, chromium is Cr and this is 3 oxide, means O. This is the formula. Oxide. Oh, okay. Now how to write the formula of the compound? You know oxide. Oxide ion is minus 2. Chromium is in plus 3 state. So I can simply write the formula. The formula to write the formula, the charge of the chromium right at the bottom, charge of the oxygen right at the bottom of Cr, and the formula becomes Cr2O3. I hope this is also clear. Here it is Hg plus 2 Cl minus. Here it is Ni plus 2 SO4 minus 2. So here the charges are balanced. 2 goes to the bottom. So Ni 2 SO4 2. Since 2 is equal to 2, the charges, so we don't write this. That you have learnt already in your lower standards. So this is writing the formula of a compound if you know the stock notation. Okay, with this let's move ahead into the next part. The next part is, suppose you have one reaction, can you justify it to be a redox reaction? How to justify that this particular reaction, or how to identify that this given reaction is a redox reaction or not? For this, simply you have to follow 2 steps. Step number 1 is assign oxidation number to all atoms. Okay, and then see that there should be then if you want to say it is a redox reaction, then for redox reaction you know redox reaction is a reaction where there is oxidation and reduction, both are taking place. Therefore you have to just find out the reduction and oxidation reaction in it or in the reaction. Okay, let's do that. Here oxygen is you know it is minus 2, this is copper is X. So if you just say, then this is 2x minus 2 is equal to 0. So X is equal to plus 1. Copper is in plus 1 state. So let me write copper is in plus 1 state. So here copper is in plus 1 state. Okay, here if you just take, then sulfur, you know it is minus 2, this is X. So this is again copper is in plus 1 state only. This is X into 2, that is 2x minus 2 is equal to 0. So X is equal to plus 1. So here copper is again in plus 1 state. Copper again is in plus 1 state here. Okay, then this is copper is a elemental state, you know oxidation number is 0. And here sulfur, you know oxygen is minus 2, sulfur is we have to find out X. So it is X minus 4 is equal to 0. So X is equal to plus 4. So here it is in plus 4 state. And now if you just see it carefully here, copper is converting from Cu2O, Cu2S to Cu. So you will see here +1 state is becoming 0. The oxidation number is changing, decrease in the oxidation number is taking place. Oxygen -2 remains same. Copper +1, yeah, and sulfur, if you just check sulfur, you see what is happening to the sulfur. Sulfur, the oxidation number is changing from -2 to +4. So here if you just see -2 to +4 means it is -2 to +4 means it is increase in the oxidation number. It is increase in oxidation number, increase in oxidation number, and this is decrease in oxidation number. And since decrease in oxidation number and increase in oxidation number both are taking place in this reaction, therefore it is a redox reaction. We can easily find out. I hope this point is clear. So first assign the oxidation numbers and see whether for any element there should be an increase in oxidation number, as well as for other element or a same element there should be decrease in oxidation number. You know, increase in oxidation number +1 to 0, that is gain of electrons, so it is a reduction, and this is oxidation. So both reactions are taking place, reduction and oxidation reaction both are taking place, therefore it is a redox reaction. That we can easily identify, and like this we can just say that this reaction is a redox reaction. If not, then we have to say it is not. If both reduction and oxidation reaction are not taking place, then it is not the redox reaction. Just to give one more example, see here oxygen is in -2 state, chromium is in +3 state. If you just find out, it is 2x minus 6 is equal to 0, so it is x is in +3 state. So chromium is +3, aluminum is the elemental state, therefore it is 0. Here it is -2, this is +3. If you want, you can find out, this is 2x minus 6 is equal to 0, so x is equal to +3. Chromium is the elemental state 0. So if you just see it carefully here, chromium is changing from 0 to, sorry, it is changing from +3 to 0, that is decrease in oxidation number, and oxide ion O-2 is remaining O-2. Aluminium 0 to +3, just check, aluminium is changing from 0 to +3, that is increase in oxidation number. So here there is a reduction and here there is a oxidation. So both reduction and oxidation reactions are taking place, therefore it is a redox reaction. So like this we can ascertain or justify that a particular reaction is a redox reaction or not. Fine. With this, let's move on to the next part. Types of redox reactions. Types of redox reactions. So we already know that how to identify the reaction is a redox reaction or not. Okay, now such many redox reactions are existing in the syllabus, existing in the chemical industries or chemical fraternity, and the main ones which are there, they are, a redox reaction can be a combustion reaction, it can be a decomposition reaction, it can be a disproportionation reaction, or it can be a displacement reaction. A redox reaction can be a combustion reaction, a combination reaction, it can be a combination reaction, it can be a combination reaction, it can be a decomposition reaction, it can be a disproportionation reaction, it can be displacement reaction. It can be displacement reaction. Okay, then let's see these examples. These what are these combination? Combination means, suppose the reaction is taking place, you know already the reaction means reactants react with one another to form products, that you already know. When I say combination, suppose a reactant X combines with reactant Y and they combine to form XY. So this is one simple example where the two elements are combining to form a new compound. Combination reaction. Decomposition. Suppose I have a compound X, Y, then because of certain chemical conditions, the XY decomposes into its corresponding elements. XY splits into X and Y, then it is called decomposition reaction. Disproportionation reaction. Now this disproportionation reaction is slightly different. Here suppose I have a compound X, Y, and it is forming two compounds, say XY1 and XY2, XY1 and XY2, or rather I will say XY, or I'll say better XA and say XY3. Just I'm giving an example. So here here in the given compound, disproportion is taking place. Disproportion is taking place. X is getting disproportionated. X is getting disproportionated into two compounds. And here details we shall see as we go. For example, X will change into some other species and it will change into some other species. So here X is changing its oxidation numbers. It's changing its oxidation numbers, and the oxidation numbers are different oxidation numbers, changing into different oxidation numbers. We shall see, we shall come back on this disproportionation reaction with example. Displacement. Now displacement is what? Displacement is very simple. Displacement means displace what? Suppose I have an X element and it is reacting with say ZX, ZY or YZ. A compound element X is reacting with compound YZ, and suppose the place of Y is taken by X and Y is displaced. Y is displaced from Z and Z is combining with X. So you see here X has displaced Y. X has displaced Y. This is called displacement reaction. So we have combination reaction, decomposition reaction, disproportionation reaction and displacement reactions. These are all redox reactions. We shall see some examples on this. And then we will move ahead into the next part. So let's see some examples on redox reactions. Okay, so here are the examples. You can go through it. First, a combination reaction. First is combination reaction. That means an X should combine with Y to form XY, this type. So if you just see it carefully here, carbon is combining with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. So it is a combination reaction. Here if I just have to see whether it is a redox reaction or not, then I have to say oxidation number is 0 here. Here it is 0 and here it is -2, and X means X minus 4. X minus 4 is equal to 0 means this is +4 state. So if you see it carefully here, carbon is changing from 0 to +4. That means it is reduction, and oxygen is changing from 0 to -2. That means it is oxidation. Increase in oxidation number is reduction, decrease in oxidation number is oxidation. So both reduction and oxidation are taking place. So this is an example of reduction reaction. One more example I have here. Magnesium combines with nitrogen to form magnesium nitrite, Mg3N2. You see magnesium, Mg is becoming +2, 0 to +2, 0 to +2 is reduction. Nitrogen is converting from 0 to -3, 0 to -3 is decrease in oxidation number, that is oxidation. Okay, the next one is decomposition reaction. Decomposition means I have already told you that we already have a compound XY. That XY will decompose into the corresponding elements, split into corresponding elements. Just to take an example here, liquid water, when it is heated, it will split into its corresponding elements. Elemental state of hydrogen is H2, elemental state of oxygen is O2. So H2O splits into H2 and O2. This is a simple reaction. Let's see whether it is a redox reaction or not. So for this, you know, oxygen is -2 valency, oxidation number is -2, hydrogen is +1, hydrogen here elemental state 0, 0. So you again check out hydrogen, what is happening? it is changing from +1 to 0, and oxygen, okay, +1 to 0 means it is increase in oxidation number, and decrease in oxidation number, that means it is oxidation. And here you see oxygen, what is happening to oxygen, what is happening to oxygen, if I just check, it is -2 to 0, that is increase in oxidation number, that is reduction. So here oxidation and reduction are taking place. One more example here is KClO3, potassium chlorate, when heated decomposes to form potassium chloride KCl and oxygen gas O2. Here if you just say potassium, there is no change in the oxidation number. Chlorine, here it is becoming +5 to -1, +5 to -1, +5 to -1 means it is decrease in oxidation number. And regarding oxygen, if I just check, then you see regarding oxygen, here there is for oxygen it is -2 to 0. -2 to 0 means it is increase in oxidation number. So there is decrease in oxidation number as well as increase in oxidation number, that means it is an example of redox reaction. Okay, next is disproportionation reaction. Now what is disproportionation reaction? I have already explained it to you. So let us see one example. Disproportionation, that means the oxidation number of that element gets disproportionated. Let's see one example, you'll understand. H2O2 gives H2O and O2. I'll explain this. H2O2 gives H2O and O2. Here you know H2O2 hydrogen peroxide, it is a peroxide, therefore -1 and this is +1. You can calculate. This is -2 and this is +1, and oxygen is the elemental state, it is 0. If you see it carefully, here you see oxygen, hydrogen +1 +1. Oxygen, if you just check here, oxygen is changing from -1 to +2, sorry, -1 to -2, -1 to -2, that is -1 to -2 means it is a decrease in oxidation number. It is decrease in oxidation number. Decrease in oxidation number means what? It is decrease in oxidation number means there is a loss of electron, so it is oxidation. And if you just see here again, if you just check one more, so oxygen -2 is becoming here 0. So here oxygen -1 is becoming 0. That means here there is a increase in oxidation number. Increase in oxidation number means it is reduction. So here it is a redox reaction, and if you see it carefully here in the example, -1 oxidation state of oxygen is disproportionating or separating into -2 state and 0 oxidation state. -2 state and 0 oxidation state. So if in the reaction same molecule, same atom undergoes reduction as well as oxidation, in a reaction, if the same atom like oxygen undergoing oxidation as well as reduction, then that reaction is supposed to be known as disproportionation reaction. That reaction is supposed to be known as disproportionation reaction. Just to give an example, one more example. Just see here, oxidation number of chlorine is 0 because it is elemental state. Oxygen, here it is -2 and +1. Here it is -2. So chloride ion becomes x -2 is equal to -1. X -2 is equal to -1. So it is +1. And chlorine, if I just take it is chloride ion -1 only. Here it is -2 and this is +1. Okay, check out. If you see it carefully here, okay, I am using the arrow mark. Chlorine, here if you just take chlorine, chlorine is changing into, here chlorine is changing from 0 to +1. Also the chlorine is changing, from 0 to -1. Any other change? Just see -2 oxygen, -2 oxygen, -2 oxygen, hydrogen +1, hydrogen +1. So here if you just see the chlorine, the oxidation number of the chlorine is 0, it has been disproportionated into -2 state and -1 state. So this proportionation reaction. So here the element is undergoing 0 to +1 state means increase in oxidation number means it is reduction, and decrease in oxidation number is oxidation. So here same element is undergoing reduction as well as oxidation. If the same element is undergoing oxidation as well as reduction, then that reaction is known as disproportionation reaction. So this is one example. So here if you just see it carefully, the element here oxidation number is say X, then here it is changing it to -X and -Y and +Y plus Z. So it is decreasing and increasing, Here the point to be noted is fluorine element which is there is the most electron negative element, and it will always stay in F- state. So changing its oxygen state to positive is not possible, and therefore you will see that the fluorine molecule, fluorine is a element which will not show any disproportionation reaction. So fluorine is an element which is the most electron negative element in the periodic table, and this will not show any disproportionation reaction, that is its oxidation number cannot split into a positive and a negative thing, because it will be always negative, -1. So it can't be positive because it is more electron negative. I'll come back on this in the last part of this video. So here fluorine is most electron negative, therefore is like this. So here one example, if you just check, F2 is reacting with the hydroxide ion. Fluorine molecule is reacting with the hydroxide ion to form a fluoride ion and OF2 minus ion. And if you just check it here, there is no disproportionation is taking place here. 0 to -1. Check out. Fluorine is changing from 0 to -1. Again, it is decrease in oxidation number, means it is oxidation. Again, if you just check, the fluorine is changing from -0 to -1 state. 0 to -1 state means again it is oxidation. So it is not a redox reaction. Okay, it is not a redox reaction. So and it is not a disproportionation reaction also, because the oxidation number is not splitting into positive and negative. It is simply either oxidation or reduction. Disproportionation is not taking place. I hope you understand the disproportionation. Disproportionation means in a particular compound, when a reaction takes place, that element will undergo reduction, that is increase in oxidation number, and also oxidation, that is decrease in oxidation number. And if that is happening, then it is a disproportionation reaction. Fluorine is one example where it cannot undergo disproportionation reaction. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next reactions are displacement reactions. Word to word meaning I have already discussed. Displacement means you have an X element from one compound, and suppose I have one more compound, say YZ, then I can displace Y from YZ by reaction, replace Y by X. I'll get XZ plus Y. So here Y has been displaced. The Y has been displaced or has been replaced by X. This is displacement reaction. Now in your syllabus you have some examples related to the metal displacement and non-metal displacements. We have metal displacements and non-metal displacements. Metal displacement means metal is getting displaced. Non-metal displacement means non-metal is getting displaced. Now you already know from periodic table, suppose this is a periodic table. Again, the elements which are on this side are electropositive and elements which are on the right hand side are electronegative, and the electropositive elements are metals. On this side we have non-metals, and in between we have got some metalloids that you will learn in periodic table. In between we have metals as well as non-metals. Like for example, if I take here sodium is present here, sodium is a metal. If I take here say hydrogen, chlorine, if I take chlorine, then chlorine is present electronegative, it is a non-metal. So I can say metal means what, non-metal means what. Now here there is one controversy in periodic table, that is hydrogen, the place of hydrogen. Hydrogen actually belongs to the family of halogens. So it will show the property of halogens, and therefore it is considered as a non-metal. It is not electropositive negative, it is considered as non-metal. So displacement of non-metals. Let's see some examples. Okay, displacement of non-metals. So displacement of non-metals, metals first, displacement of metals. Just to give an example here, copper sulfate CuSO4 reacts with zinc to form copper and zinc sulfate ZnSO4. If you check it carefully here, copper is been displaced by zinc, copper is been displaced by zinc. See, the place of zinc is taken by copper and the copper is been displaced out. So this is one simple reaction where it is a metal displacement reaction. Again, this metal displacement reaction, whether it is a redox reaction, let us check whether it is a redox reaction or not. Let me clean this out. You can easily see it is a redox reaction, because again check out, copper is becoming +2 to 0. So it is a decrease in oxidation number, that is oxidation, and sulfur is -2 here, it is -2 here, and here if I say you can try out the oxidation numbers, you will find out zinc is changing from 0 to +2. It is increase in oxidation number, that means it is reduction. So here oxidation and reduction both are taking place, and here zinc is displacing copper from copper sulfate. Zinc displace copper from copper sulfate. This is one example. Few more examples are there in your government textbook. You can go through it. Okay. So this is regarding displacement reactions of metals. Let's say displacement of non-metals. Now non-metals means hydrogen is taken as the non-metal, and you will see some examples in your government text. One example is, you see all alkali metals and some alkaline earth metals like calcium, strontium, calcium is Ca, strontium Sr, barium. These can displace hydrogen from cold water. They can displace hydrogen from cold water. Just to give an example here, you'd see calcium, solid calcium, when it is put in the cold water, you see what is happening. The calcium is displacing hydrogen from water. The place of water, hydrogen is taken by calcium. H2O, you know, H2O is actually HOH. So the hydrogen atom is getting replaced by calcium. Hydrogen atom is getting replaced by calcium. You may ask me why the formula is like this. Then you should know that hydroxide is OH minus, calcium is +2. So to balance the charges, the valency of the calcium should go to the bottom of this OH and 1 should go to the bottom of this. So it is CaOH twice. It becomes CaOH twice, and that's why the formula is CaOH twice. Okay, so here calcium is displacing hydrogen from cold water, like this. Strontium also does, barium also does, alkali metals like sodium, potassium, all these metals also do it. Alkali metals, sodium, potassium, the one which are there on the first column of the periodic table. Okay, there are some less active metals like magnesium, iron. They do not react with the cold water. Because they are less reactive, but they can displace hydrogen from steam. Steam is again a vapor phase of liquid, vapor phase of the water molecule. Again water, you see here magnesium is displacing hydrogen and magnesium hydroxide. Again here, why the formula magnesium hydroxide? Then you should know that water hydroxide is OH minus, magnesium ion is here, oxidation state is +2. So here the formula would be MgOH twice. You have learned the stock notation, the same thing I am following. The -2 will go to the bottom of OH, 1 will go to the bottom of Mg. Formula becomes MgOH twice. So here Mg is becoming MgOH twice, and 2H plus H2H is displaced by magnesium. Okay, here I have displacement of hydrogen from cold water. Here I have displacement of hydrogen from steam, displacement of hydrogen from cold water, displacement from steam. There are certain reactions where we can acids, dilute acids also can be used, and hydrogen from those dilute acids can also be displaced by metals. Like for example, iron. Here iron, if you put it in the HCl, iron displaces, you see iron, here iron is displacing hydrogen from hydrochloric acid, HCl, and you see it forming FeCl2. Why FeCl2? Again chloride ion is Cl minus, here Fe is in the +2 state, so Fe is in the +2 state, so formula would be the 2 goes to the bottom of Cl and 1 goes to the bottom of Fe, and the formula becomes FeCl2. So here Fe is displacing H from HCl, dilute acid. So such many reactions are there. Now who can displace whom? That we shall see at the end of this particular session, because here we have a concept known as electrochemical series. That electrochemical series can be used to predict, yes, okay, this series has to be seen, and the element, this element, okay, in this place it is there, then it can reduce the other or displace the other. That we shall see with example in a later stage. At present, I hope you have understood displacement of hydrogen from cold water, from steam, and from dilute acids. Okay, next one is displacement of halogens. Okay, so here displacement of halogen. Fluorine is the most, it has an ability to displace or replace chloride ion, bromide ion, iodide ion from the solution. Suppose I have potassium iodide, then if I just pass fluorine gas into this, the fluorine will replace the iodine. And you will get potassium fluoride and iodine gas. Like this, a chloride ion can be displaced, bromide ion can be displaced, iodide ion can be displaced by fluorine. Okay, chlorine also has an ability to displace. The chlorine Cl2 also has an ability to displace chloride ion. It can displace the bromide ion and iodide ions. And this is a simple test which is used as a layer test to detect bromide ion and iodide ions. It is a test to detect the bromide ions and iodide ions. Just to give an example, here you see chlorine when it is passed through KBr, Br is replaced or displaced by Cl. Again you see bromine gas is evolved, and again chlorine, when it is passed through Ki, you see I is replaced or displaced by chlorine and iodine is liberated. So here you see what is happening. Here what is happening is there is a displacement of halogens. Okay, now here there is one thing you must know. Displacement of bromide and iodide by chlorine. If I just take here, bromine is a brown colored gas and iodine is a violet color gas. It's a violet color gas. Now here this can easily dissolve in carbon tetrachloride to form orange color solution. Orange color solution. And this iodine also can dissolve in carbon tetrachloride and it can form a violet color solution. A violet colored solution. And therefore this can be used as a test to detect Br- and I-, and that we will be doing in your practicals. What has to be done is simply you take a test tube. Okay, in that test tube you take the solution. Take a solution, and then to this you add two chemicals. You have to add two chemicals. You have to add two chemicals. One is you have to pass chlorine gas or a chlorine in water, dissolve and get a chlorine water, chlorine gas or chlorine water you can use, and to this you have to add carbon tetrachloride. Now carbon tetrachloride forms the bottom layer. Carbon tetrachloride forms the bottom layer. It is the bottom layer. Okay, now here when chlorine displaces bromine, bromine goes and sits into the bottom layer, and you will see that orange globule, orange colored bottom layer, orange colored bottom layer when chlorine displaces bromide ion from bromine solution, from bromide solution, and the bottom layer becomes a violet color. Bottom becomes a violet color, bottom layer becomes a violet color when chlorine is displacing the potassium iodide from potassium iodide, and it is iodine is getting converted to iodine. Iodine goes and settles in the carbon tetrachloride layer. So this is a layer test, a simple test. I can just write it here, a layer test. If I just have to write it, I'll just pass it here. This is a layer test. The layer test is very simple. What has to be done is, this is the test which is, you are doing it actually in the practicals. The test is, the chlorine water is added to carbon tetrachloride in carbon tetrachloride, chlorine water and carbon tetrachloride is mixed with the solution containing bromide ion or iodide ion. Then the observation is if bromide ion is present, then the carbon tetrachloride layer, as you can see here, this carbon tetrachloride layer becomes an orange. You will get an orange globule. You will get an orange globule. You will get an orange layer at the bottom, because the bromine gas which has been displaced settles into this carbon tetrachloride here, settles into this CCl4 bottom layer. Okay, and if iodine is present, if iodide is present in the solution, if iodide is present, then you will see that it becomes a violet color. That becomes a violet color. Because the carbon tetrachloride will absorb the iodine, and here you will get a violet colored layer, and this is a simple test to perform and identify whether the given solution contains the bromide ion or a chloride ion or not. I hope you followed this. I'll repeat again. Suppose you have been given an unknown solution. Take that solution in a test tube. To that you add chlorine water, carbon tetrachloride, shake. If the bottom layer is orange colored, then bromide is present. If bottom layer is violet color, iodide is present. Simple test. And this is a simple test application of the displacement reaction. And again, these displacement reactions are redox reactions, as you can see. Chlorine 0 to -1, decrease in oxidation number. Chlorine 0 to -1, decrease in oxidation number. And bromine Br minus to 0, increase in oxidation number. So reduction and oxidation both are taking place. Okay. Bromine can displace iodide also. You can have a bromine gas and displace iodide from the solution also. That is a different thing. One example. Okay. One important point to be noted. That is, let me clear the screen here for you. Okay, the important point to be noted is, okay, fluorine displace chloride ion, bromide ion, iodide ion. Chlorine displace bromide ion and iodide ion from their solution. Bromine can displace only iodide ion. Okay, so it can displace iodide ion from the solution. This is the example. Here there is an example, and here these are the examples. Okay, and here is the example. Now one problem is fluorine is most reactive, and it is most okay, it can easily undergo it is a very reactive substance, and therefore it can react with water as well. So here Ki, suppose I am taking the solution of chloride, bromide, iodide. If I am taking a solution of chloride, bromide, iodide, fluorine can displace. But if you take a aqueous solution, then aqueous solution means there is water in the molecule, water molecules are there. So fluorine also can reduce, it can also displace hydrogen from water. It can displace oxygen from water. Just check. It can displace oxygen from water. Okay, and since it can react with the water molecule also, if you want to carry out this reaction with fluorine, and if you want to displace the halogens from the solution by using fluorine, you cannot use aqueous solution. Aqueous solution means the water should not be there. The reason